Thousands of miles from the battlegrounds of Eastern Europe, a seismic geopolitical shift is underway in Latin America. At an emergency summit in Bogotá this July, Colombian President Gustavo Petro declared a bold and controversial move. His country, NATO's only global partner in Latin America, is preparing to walk away from the alliance. "We must leave NATO. There is no other way," Petro announced in front of an international delegation.
We need to leave NATO. We need to form an army of light with all the peoples of the world who want to, and we need to tell Europe that.
His words weren't just policy, they were a declaration of moral rebellion. This isn't just about NATO, it's about what it stands for, and whether that vision still resonates with rising voices from the global south. The summit, hosted by the so-called Hague Group, brought together countries from 4 continents: Colombia, South Africa, Bolivia, Cuba, Honduras, Malaysia, Namibia, and Senegal, to condemn Israel's ongoing offensive in Gaza. But the conversation quickly expanded. For Petro, the silence, or complicity of Western powers, particularly NATO, was a line too far. His response? A call for an entirely new coalition. Not based on Western-led militarism, but on what he described as a moral force, an army of light. "These are not armies of freedom," he declared, referencing NATO. "They are armies of darkness. We must create an army of light with all nations willing to join." The shockwaves from this summit are still being felt. Because Colombia hasn't just criticized NATO, it has been embedded in it. Since 2017, Colombia has held the status of a NATO global partner. It was formalized under President Juan Manuel Santos, who emphasized cooperation, not combat. And in 2022, the United States elevated Colombia to major non-NATO ally status, placing it among a select group that includes Australia, Israel, and Japan. This designation unlocked access to U.S. military funding, defense technology, and elite joint exercises. As recently as May 2025, Colombia's military brass were holding high-level strategy sessions with NATO in Brussels. Everything seemed intact, until it wasn't. Petro's pivot is grounded in one issue above all: Gaza. In his eyes, NATO's association with Israel's military campaign and the broader Western refusal to intervene or condemn marks a profound moral failure. Since the October 2023 Hamas-led attacks and Israel's subsequent response, over 58,000 people have reportedly been killed in Gaza. Petro didn't just denounce the war, he cut all diplomatic ties with Israel in May 2025 and has repeatedly accused its government of genocide. At the Bogotá summit, he helped push through resolutions calling for ICC arrest warrants against Israeli leaders, a ban on arms exports to Israel, and the refusal to allow Israeli-linked ships into ports. But his rhetoric didn't stop there. He turned inward, highlighting Colombia's own role in the global supply chain. Petro warned that Colombian coal, sold internationally, might be fueling Israeli industry. "Colombian coal should not turn into bombs that kill children," he said. Alongside him stood United Nations Special Rapporteur Francesca Albanese, who has openly accused Israel of crimes against humanity. Her presence added legitimacy and a sharpened edge to the Hague Group's demands. Through it all, NATO was never directly named, but its shadow loomed large. Petro framed the entire Western-led military order as one that enables aggression and shields its allies from accountability. And here lies the paradox. While Ukraine fights desperately to join NATO for protection, Colombia, safe and secure, is preparing to leave. Not for strategic gain, but out of moral protest. This isn't just a policy shift. It's a signal flare. Petro is asking a fundamental question. Can a military alliance born in the Cold War era truly represent the values of a multipolar world? Can it reconcile its strategic interests with global justice? NATO, for all its strength, now faces a narrative challenge. Can it remain globally relevant while ignoring the dissenting voices of the global south? Can it claim to protect freedom when its own partners walk away in protest? Colombia's exit may not shake NATO to its foundations, but it signals a deeper fracture between the world that was and the world that's coming. A world where alliances will be judged not only by power, but by principle.